look in the eyes of my brother without shedding a tear for my brother. I really wanna try for my brother. 'Cause I truly do feel for my brother.
Oh! That was a good one. That was a good one right there. That came from the diaphragm.
I think this has like a cutoff once you reach a certain level, decibel level. Because like I noticed that every time you do it, it cuts out, and then it's weird because it did at that time too.
Yeah, it might be like a limiter or something on it.
Yeah.
To make sure you don't like shout in people's ears.
Yeah.
that might make sense. That might make complete sense. Oh well, what up, y'all? Welcome back. We want to thank you for joining us for another episode of the InforMILLy Honest podcast. We are four brothers, minus one today. Marco is traveling with the family, and so he's being safe. Don't worry. And we want to send our love to him. He couldn't make it today, but he's always with us in spirit. We are four brothers, different mothers and different daddies, no blood relation, but always the spiritual kinship, who pride ourselves on having candid and open and challenging conversations, always rooted in being forthright, vulnerable, and most of all, honest. And if you didn't know, now you know that we bees from Miller, right? Miller neighborhood of Gary, Indiana, all day, every day, living in different places, but Miller Beach raised us. And so we're grateful to the hilltop. I really gotta stop saying like that's the thing we do. But let's do something we haven't done in a minute. At least my memory is shit because my day isn't long. Let's do a check-in. How y'all doing? Because I feel like we just be starting episodes.
Yeah. Man, so I disagree with this. I disagree. It's like, damn, man, how you doing first?
It's like I should probably like make sure you're like good. I know a lot is happening and life is not necessarily returning to what we know as normalcy, but life is continuing to move. And although COVID is still very much around, and racism is still killing niggas. We want to make sure that we're still checking in on you, mind, spirit, etc. So, Adam, how you doing, man?
Let's see. I'm doing all right. Just keeping up with what's going on in good old Wisconsin. I'm not gonna necessarily get on the subject necessarily, but it's just I just been thinking about this kid that decided to leave his state. He left his state with a gun, went to another state, shot some people, and he's getting a massive amount of support. And I'm just trying to figure out how is that possible. That's what I've been thinking about for like the last 2 days. Like, I don't get how this is even in question. Like, if he lived in Wisconsin and maybe his family owned some property, a store, like a storefront maybe on that street, he's like, man, they're not about to burn down my property. Then I'll be like, okay, I get why you were there. But the fact that this had nothing to do with you, to me, shows me that you were looking for trouble.
Right.
So I think intent is everything. I feel like there's no reason for him to be there. So that's just what I've been thinking about and trying to figure out how is it possible. Though I'm not necessarily surprised, but I'm just trying to figure out how is it even possible that he has this much support. And I saw that some Christian in air quotes group or a site website raised like $97,000 for like his lawyer fees and stuff, whatever. So it's like, it's crazy. But that's it. That's all I got.
Man, that whole situation, everything having to do with James Blake's situation is much like every other situation that's similar to it, where every time new information gets added, you're like, I didn't know I could be more angry. I didn't like, how are you continuing to contribute to things that are so obviously wrong? And And to add on to that, Adam, I know you're wondering like how has he had that support? And in my world, I'm like, how do motherfuckers sleep at night for real? That look at these situations and really are like, well, my job is to twist the narrative, make evil shit out to be heroic at the expense of people. Like for me, that's always been a thing of like, how do you contribute to that kind of evil, or how do you even hear that? How do you subscribe to that kind of evil, and still think that you're a relatively good person, like you that you're still like that you are following the ways of Christ or anything of that rhetoric.
Yeah, and and I will just end on this because I know we're just doing a check-in and not a full topic here.
Yeah,
but I will say this: people are justifying or trying to justify. People are trying to justify the killings based on the fact that I guess the people that he happened to shoot happened, like all three of them, I guess, happened to have a record. So they're saying, well, they're ex felons, ex criminals. I guess one dude is he's on the sex offenders list or something like that. And as terrible as that is, that doesn't mean that on that night he deserved to die, though. Like you can be a bad person, serve your prison time, blah blah blah, and live your life, and you shouldn't have to worry about somebody shooting you for something that you did. So
right. Because those don't justify them being killed, and that even adds on to that shit of why is it that every time people are killed in these circumstances, the first thing that publications do or news media does is go find some reason to try to validate why they were killed that has nothing to do with the situation.
Yeah, and I'm not, and for that detail, I'm not necessarily sure where the info came from, whether it was like media, whether it's just people online. But what I do know, what I have noticed is that people seem to become like scholar of the year when it comes to finding dirt on somebody that died. Like they become like Dick Tracy or Sherlock Holmes or somebody, like in digging up those details. But then the minute that you say systemic racism is an issue, suddenly that eagerness for research is nowhere to be found, and they just like, no, it's not a thing anymore. But you were just researching far and wide to prove that this man deserved to die, but you won't research this very, very massive, thing. So it's just interesting.
This thing that you're actively contributing to by researching a reason to validate why that person needs to die.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But it's just, I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm surprised by
it's not surprising. Yeah,
I guess it's just frustrating because it seems like there really is no end in sight, and yeah, I don't see how it would end. And I guess the judge for this case, whatever, they postponed the hearing to next month or something like that. And then I'm like, why though? And then I saw another post, another article saying that I guess they're stalling or something for him to go back to Wisconsin. I'm like, what do you mean stalling? Go to his house and arrest this dude. Like, what are you talking about? Like, bring him in. What are you talking about? Because I guess they're trying to extradite him to Wisconsin, but they're like trying to figure out when or how they're going to do that. And like, this is crazy. I know if I went into the street and killed two people, I would be in Lake County right now without any. There would be no doubt about that. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be like a. We'll get to it next month. Like what? No, they just killed two.
Open and shut case, Johnson.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
That's real, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Aaron, how about you, man?
Well, shit. After that, I suppose I can't say that I'm in a pleasant state. I can't.
I should have went last.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. I'm the one to ask, but yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot going on in the world, but I feel like there's been a lot going on in the world. And I don't. I mean, I've spoken on it several times about what I think would be necessary for some shit to actually change. But Unfortunately, I don't see it changing. Like Adam said, I don't see it changing for a bit. I don't know. I think like one of the reasons why, like the person you were speaking about who was like researching and doing all that shit to like find pretty much any dirt on the person who died, is because they have, and of course they're inadvertently going against ways to actually assist and help and making some shit right and fair. I don't think they have an answer. I don't think they know how to fix it, or I don't think they're willing to I don't think they're willing to take a look in their own direction and face whatever needs to be faced. But
when you say how to fix, you don't think they know how to fix it? What do you mean by that? Because in this scenario, I don't think they're trying to fix anything.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, I don't think, like, in my mind, if I'm not willing to, so to me, part of like the catalyst or the beginning of fixing something is like recognizing some shit and taking a look in their own direction and seeing how they can help see, because you have to see what you're actually doing to continue the shit that's not fair. I think you have to see that first, and then you can begin to have the conversation with yourself or others and speak from a different place on like how to actually fix it. So in my mind, that's the only alternative, is to work against it, because you're not willing to take the necessary, you're not willing to take the necessary steps to look at yourself and see what you can do, how you can genuinely be involved outside of like how you can approach the difficult things, the things that cause you discomfort, even about talking about race and different things like that. That's it. That's in my mind, without going into too much detail. I'm trying to be general. But yeah, that's my little take on that. I don't see it. I don't see it stopping. I mean, I'd imagine in every generation there was some crazy shit going on. There was racism. There was discrimination of all kinds, probably in every generation. So, perhaps one day. But I'm outside of that. I'm feeling refreshed from a nice little trip, which you guys, of course, were a part of. It was good to be back home. Miller, where we all grew up, we talk about it all the time on this podcast. I co-piloted a plane for the first time, which is pretty cool.
Come on.
Yeah, 3,000 feet in the air. And in case you're wondering, 4G and LTE, I don't know if they're the same thing. I don't think so. I'm not that tech savvy. But
technically, I think they are.
Okay. Well, 4G slash LTE still works at 3,000 feet in the air. Yes. I had no idea. We got the clearance from Midway and O'Hare to, we got to go ahead. So
that's dope.
Yeah.
The green light, like Yoda knife.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool, man. It was really cool to see Lake Michigan from that high up. I mean, it immediately brought me back to when I first moved down here to Atlanta. I'm just like using the term beach all the time, and they're like, wait a minute, isn't that a lake though? Like a beach is technically a beach only if there's like an ocean, like seawater, salt water, or whatever. But like I've always seen it to be. Well, that's what I've gotten it not just 1 or 2 times. I've gotten it like 30 times, 40 times. For people who obviously are from the South, who live near, Gulf of Mexico or something, or I think Florida is Gulf of Mexico on one end, and then there's also the Atlantic on the other end. So anyways, folks who live by oceans have always told me that down here. So, but from seeing it from a bird's eye view, I mean, that shit, and it spans like 3 different states. That shit is a damn beach. It's a damn ocean of the Midwest, and I stand by it. it was interesting to see how people's pools in their backyards look from that high. Like that stood out a lot. It's not necessarily exciting, but it stood out. And man, I'm gonna wrap this little check-in up with I've been laying low like a Persian rug. Otherwise,
Word.
hanging in there, man.
Dope.
Real quick before we move on, because
Yeah.
I can't let people say that where I spent a lot of my childhood is not a beach. So I looked up what a beach was, and it says,
Thank you, because I was doing it too.
So a beach is a landform alongside a body of water, which consists of loose particles. The particles composing a beach are typically made from rock, such as sand, gravel, shingle, pebbles. I don't know why they didn't put and pebbles, but anyway. The particles can also be biological in origin, such as mollusk shells.
Oh,
mollusk.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Marine biologists over there, or coralline algae. But anyway, so the water, it has nothing to do with the water. The beach is actually what's next to the water, like that sand, blah blah blah. That's the actual beach.
Right.
So the water can be salt or fresh water, it doesn't matter, as long as it has that sand stuff next to the water. That's the actual beach. So
word. All right. Well, next time,
get that correction.
Yeah.
I
listen to
didn't know
episode 18.
Yeah, I never knew that. I thought the beach was a combination of the water, sand, I thought the whole area was considered the beach. But I guess
I always thought
it has nothing to do with the
the
water.
landscape was the beach. Like it has to be next to water in order to be a beach, right?
Well, yeah, that's true. That land next to water is the beach. The water is its own thing. The water is just Lake Michigan or Atlantic Ocean or the Red Sea or whatever.
Word.
So,
Word.
it's a beach.
I ain't got much going on this side of back in with the students. So getting used to working with kids on Zoom and whatever has been interesting because they don't know nothing. But so far, I've only gotten to work with them 2 days because I only work with the high schoolers once a week, and I don't start with the college students until next week. The college students should be fine for the most part. The high schoolers is what you got to worry about. I don't know if I said this last time we recorded, but on the first day we were doing like orientation with them and whatnot. I could see Adam laughing because he saw the Facebook stuff. So I'm sitting here talking. I made them do like a little passive assignment where they watched the video, and it wasn't even a real assignment. I made them watch a video so they could like tell me what they thought, because I'm like, most likely what I introduce you to as far as dance, you've never seen, you probably have no context for, because Gary ain't that exposed as against best efforts. It's not that exposed. And so I showed that to him, and you get your typical like, that was weird. Yo, homegirl was wilding. Like, man, she was going crazy, like whipping her head like that and stuff. That was wow. And then I go to one boy, and I was like, I started having to go to him one by one. So I go to a boy, and I was like, yo, man, tell me your thoughts. He was like, I don't know. And you ever watch a child? It was a little admirable, to tell the truth. You ever watch a kid really struggle not to say something bigoted? Because he's like, I just know if I say what I think I want to say, which is he really wanted to say something stupid like, yo man, that was gay, like he was trying to say some derogatory shit, but he wouldn't say it.
Yeah.
In which I was like, that's respectful, because I know you're having this horrible thought, and you're like, I probably shouldn't say this to the teacher that I'm just now meeting.
Yeah.
and
it's good awareness.
So I was like, yo, just give me anything. And as I'm talking to him, I like see, because they forgot that I can see all of their tiles. I'm looking literally at all 20 of you. Yeah. And I just see one take off his headband, his hat, put on a headset, put his hat back on, and then hold the PlayStation controller up in front of the camera and turn it. And it took everything in me not to go, nigga.
Yeah, that's so funny, man.
Because I was
That's
just
so
like,
funny.
do you think I can't see? I'm literally looking at you. Your camera's on. And a PlayStation controller has to blink to show you that it is activating.
Yeah.
You didn't think to not hold it up
Yeah,
next to your face?
I could be holding the controller right now. You never know it.
Yeah.
Right. Because truth be told, when he put on the headset, I was my benefit of the doubt giving ass was like, oh, he probably just trying to make sure he can like hear. So that's why he's putting on a headset. And so I was ready to give him that benefit of the doubt. Then he held that fucking PlayStation controller up, and I was like, this nigga's bold.
No, he would be terrible in a Metal Gear Solid game, man. That motherfucker would be terrible.
And then when I was like, I know you didn't just turn on your PlayStation. and he was like, oh no, like my hand had like slipped onto it. I was like, why are you holding it? Like,
my hand slipped onto it.
If you,
man.
Like with
yeah.
I was like, yo, if you're gonna lie, like try. Like what? Like just try to make a good lie. If you're gonna lie, I'm gonna catch you up in it either way. So you could just go, you know what? You right. I tried. My bad, Mr. Josh. Cool. Let me chill.
He could have been like, I was just pulling up YouTube so I can, watch the video and have some direct notes to give you. He could have made up anything.
And I'd have been like, that wouldn't have made no sense anyway because you should have watched the video.
Yeah.
I sat here for this 6 minutes so you could watch that video. What were you doing? But no,
it's true.
He was winning that championship on NBA 2K.
Oh, he didn't get into the game, but was that EA Sports? Get into the game.
Yeah.
But no, he definitely proceeded to not come to my class the next week, and so who knows if he's even still in my class. But yeah. But beyond that, that's the main thing that's been up, and work stuff. Between like we got some video projects going down with the dance company and whatnot. So, just work. So let's hop into our opener today. You about to say something, Adam?
I did. I said like Rihanna. You said work. Sounds like Rihanna.
Oh. My bad. Let's hop into our opener.
Didn't lie.
The world will never cease to prove to me how much people suck and how prevalent. I know I've said this on this podcast a million times. People suck. You learn to navigate it, right? Do you have any feelings toward or thoughts about this blatant hypocrisy, right? And on the subject of snitching, because a young Mexican man snitched on an entire group, on an entire gang, and he is praised and paid. A black woman did not snitch. She told motherfuckers that she got shot. Who is not a gangster? She's a early 20-year-old rapper who does not really even talk about violence in her music, to my knowledge. I don't really know.
Yeah.
And somehow she is being chastised as a snitch, while this younger Hispanic gentleman or Latinx gentleman, I'm not sure, but as what's his face, who shall not be named, at least not by me anyway, got praise, came out with hits. He only had to serve like a fraction of his sentence. Do you have any feelings toward this? Did I confuse you? Do I need to be a lot more blunt about this?
No, I know who it is now. I caught on. Like the first gentleman you spoke of. I caught on now. I know who it is. Yeah.
Tekashi. But, I mean, for me, because like I was thinking about this too, actually. And for starters, I'm gonna say Tekashi 6ix9ine, from my understanding, is a textbook snitch. He was involved with these people. He was doing the crime and all that with these people, trying to be tough. Got caught, so then he told on the people he was involved with. That's the kind of the definition. And from my understanding, though, I guess the guys that he snitched on, I don't know how true this is, but I've heard that the people that he snitched on, apparently they kidnapped him at some point. They was messing with his baby's mom or something like that. So there's a lot of stuff that they did to him, I guess. So for me, back in the day when I heard this, people were talking about this, I was like, I would never claim to be street or hood or anything, but I might have to tell them fools too. Like, you're not gonna kidnap me. And I was like, well, that's just how it goes. Like,
man, street code.
But as far as the street goes, I get where he crossed the line. So I get that. Now switching over to Megan. So I don't believe what she did with snitching. Cause like you said, she's not in the street. She's just an artist. She's not claiming to be in some gang. She's not trying to be hood. She's just a recording artist that got shot. So she has no loyalty to the street or to the code or any of that. So that's not snitching. But what I will say is this doesn't have to do with Meg the Stallion or the other guy. This is just around the idea of snitching in general. I find it really interesting that is the code. Like, you're not supposed to snitch, blah blah blah. But I've seen personal accounts where, like, someone that I know lost someone to gun violence that was in that world or whatever, and his family, they were like, y'all need to tell us who did it. We know y'all know. And there's posts on Facebook all the time, like, but I thought that nobody was supposed to tell. So, like, if something else happened, like if something else happened, and say the same family member that was killed, say he was involved, but he didn't die, but he was involved in the harming of this person, and he got snitched on, y'all would be upset. But it's different. Like, when it happens to you, now suddenly you want everybody to call the Crime Stoppers Network. So
yeah, man,
first 48, which is even deeper hypocrisy.
Yeah, because it's like and there's there I'm assuming there's a big percentage of people out there that wouldn't want you to snitch regardless, because in their mind they're gonna handle it themselves or something crazy like that. But I think this idea kind of goes across the board, even outside of snitching, just like in general. Like, people feel like when something happens to them, then they deserve all of the support and all of the all of the effort to find justice for something that happened to somebody that they love. But when it happens to somebody else, you're not supposed to snitch. And that same idea, like I said, that same idea you can apply it to a lot of things. Like, the election season's coming around. If your candidate does something, you're more likely to excuse it. Like, well, it was 15 years ago. But then if the other candidate does something, you would be quick to point that out. And I know I'm guilty of doing that. Not that I necessarily have a candidate this time around.
Right, this term.
But it's just, I think that's just a human nature thing. I think people are tribal, and they stick to like their thing, whether it's people that look like you, whether it's people you agree with, and we talked about that shooting in Wisconsin. It's the same thing. People are okay with those people getting killed because they don't agree with their message of Black Lives Matter. Right. Now, if those same people were protesting a mask mandate or businesses being shut down and they got shot by some black kid from Chicago, out of state, then I feel like their message would be different, and suddenly they would want justice for those people shot. But because they didn't agree with what the people that were shot were saying, well, it's okay. So it's just really weird.
Yeah, that's
I literally saw. Oh, go ahead there.
I was just about to say that's exactly why I never believe. I just take it with a grain of salt whenever someone says, "Man, if I was in that situation or like if that happened to me," it's like we'll see. We'll see.
Right.
I take it with a grain of salt every time. It's just like we'll see.
Yo, that
You know?
to that last point you made, Adam. What was it? I saw the police chief up there saying like pretty much blaming the victims. He was like, if they weren't at the protest, they wouldn't have got shot.
Oh yeah, and it's like, but
And
then
it's like,
but someone could turn around and say the same thing. Well, if this guy wouldn't have come to our state as not even a Wisconsin resident, he would have stayed his butt in Illinois, then they wouldn't have got shot. So you can play it any way you want to.
Yeah.
Or if AR-15s were banned and he didn't have one, well, maybe they would have got shot with something else, but they wouldn't have got shot by that. So
it's still a thing of
1,000 different perspectives for 1,000 different people. You can play
exactly.
it. Yeah, crazy.
Aaron, what's your thoughts on this? Do you have anything towards this particular hypocritical situation, or just a hypocrisy surrounding snitching?
I was about to say originally is I understand the G code, but I don't. I was about to start with that. Let me not start with that because I don't understand the G code. I get it. I get it. I get the concept. I get it theoretically, like the idea of like not snitching. You know, like these, like the gang essentially is your family in some way. Actually, I would imagine in many people's experience is their family. You know, but at the same time, I did hear that Mr. 6ix9ine's family, air quotes, did kidnap him at one point, and I also heard that they were like secretly taking money from him or screwing him out of like deals. So if that's the case, I'm definitely snitching. I'm definitely snitching. I'm dropping a motherfucking Google Earth or a pin on their location, bro. I'm saving that shit too. In case I'm saving. It will be the time I snitch or some bullshit like that. It will be the first time I ever use iCloud. I hit that little I switch and toggle that shit to the right so it turns green. Like I'm officially using iCloud, saving your fucking pin. I'm snitching. It's like, I mean, but to Adam's point, it's like I'm also sick of that. I'm sick of people saying don't snitch, and then the second somebody do something to one of your like family members, whatever, it's like, yo, I want to fucking know who it was. You know, like it's just, I guess until it happens to you, you know, it's easier to feel a certain way about it. But like, I do understand it though. Like it's hard not to. I understand both sides, but it's like, man, it'd be easier if like lives weren't lost. Like I could understand you not wanting to snitch because it's like it's the code, and you look like a crazy person, or you're actually endangering yourself and possibly your friends and families by snitching.
I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
On the other hand, he did seem to want to ride along with that lifestyle. He wanted to play that lifestyle. It's like, well,
he wanted the credit. He wanted the credibility of that lifestyle. He didn't want to be a part of it.
So it's like this comes with you. You wanted to play that lifestyle. This comes with it. When you snitch, there are certain consequences. I'd imagine that come with that.
And you see, as soon as them consequences showed up, he remembered that he tried to act like he wasn't black. Yada yada yada. But not act like, but you know, that proper English came out and all of that kind of stuff.
But I do feel for him too, though. I do feel for him.
Sure,
too.
I'm. This ain't even really about him. So I'm not really saying anything like that. I do have to kind of acknowledge when that thing happens of everybody want to be a part of hood shit, foul shit, etc. Until they ask you on the line, and I mainly mean that toward like non-white or non-black or light-skinned folks who are not like phenotypically or apparently a part of a particular kind of racial structure, etc. And as soon as they get to pull themselves out, they do. Or they just try to involve themselves in some aspect of black culture or a one kind of black culture. Take for example, Justin Timberlake, Miley Cyrus, and all of that shit. they all fine with it until they like, oh, but now I want to make a country album, so let's go ahead and just shield that off. But yeah.
Man, hold up.
Huh.
Hold up, man. Hold on. Rewind. Let's go back.
What?
if at one point I'm inspired to make a country album, can I just do that? Can I just be like, all right,
Sure.
or does he have to give a public announcement saying, I have gained this much notoriety from working with individuals who happen to be Black, like Pharrell and Timberland, and really building my career, but now I'm inspired to do country. Please, everyone, be okay with that. I mean, what
my big thing is, one, that country album sucked. That's the first thing. Two,
I figured that was coming. I knew that was coming.
two, my bigger thing is, no, you do not need permission in order to do those things outside of it. My big thing is, if the majority of your solo career and your notoriety is built inside of a historically Black culture, and clearly all of the influences that put you on that pedestal of Black, and in the midst of you growing to that level, you making pop music, but it being recognized as R&B, and then you doing nothing to make sure that other R&B artists that don't get the kind of clout that you have are coming along with you, it is now implicitly suppressive. And so when you step away from it, just to make sure that you are really locking down your rural audience because you are from Tennessee, and the thing about it is, Justin Timberlake is not. It is an example. He's nowhere near as bad as Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus was a much more drastic example of, she literally went on record being like, "Oh my goodness, that was me being young and reckless," and yada yada. She literally demeaned all of the culture that she bit in order to appeal to back to her country audience.
Word. Okay, I see where you're coming from. I was asking that question because I could see myself enjoying a particular, having a taste for a particular thing, and then saying, "Oh, I want to try something else." Like I'm asking from, like, I'm seeing it from our experience. Like, I don't want to be like, if I want to try something, I want to try it. You know what I'm saying?
No,
I want to try something different. I want to go back to I haven't explored that. Or
there's nothing wrong with that, but when you on some Elvis shit, it has to be acknowledged as such.
Yeah, I mean, him making that tweet that one time when he was like, I think he said like "All Lives Matter" at some point. That really didn't help his case.
Oh, it didn't, yeah.
And the reason why I say that is, and this kind of goes, someone else said something similar to this, and I'll get to that person too. But it's like, you spend all of this time, all these years working with Black artists, connecting with Black fans, and no one's saying, "Oh, because of that you're Black." Like, I would never say that. But what I'm saying is, you would think during that time he would have gained some type of like understanding or empathy, or like, oh, I see what they mean by Black Lives Matter, and I see why All Lives Matter isn't the correct response to that. And that's what threw me off. I'm not canceling Justin Timberlake because of that, and it's not like I'll just listen to him constantly anyway. But that's where it took a turn for his Black audience, because people were like, "That's kind of weird," based on our gigantic support for you over the last decade. But anyway, the other person I was referring to was Brian Urlacher, which for me is huge because I'm a Bears fan. Brian Urlacher came out recently in support of the shooter or whatever that killed those two people, and he was like, I don't know the words, but he supports the guy. Let's just say that. And for me, that's problematic because you spent probably 20 years, if you include college and professional, you spent 20 years around young men that are Black, for probably more than you did your own family, because you're playing football, you're practicing, you're playing games. Most of the teammates are Black. That's just how it is. So you spend all of the time around young black men, and you can't see why the Black Lives. He was. It wasn't even just a shooter. He was like the Black Lives Matter movement in general. He was like, he doesn't agree with whatever, and like you spend all of the time around black people, and you didn't develop any type of empathy or understanding about what they go through in those 20 years of you playing football with these people, making
Right.
millions of dollars, with their help. Because although he was an amazing football player, that will never be denied. You could not have done it without your team. You can't. It doesn't matter how good you are, but you have to have a teammate that they help put you up. So like the fact that he's a Hall of Famer, yes, that most definitely is an individual effort from him, but he could not have done that without teammates, which most of the time were black. And I'm not saying that even means anything, like, oh, your teammates are black, so you should feel this way. But I'm just saying that you spent a lot of time with these people, over the years, and you never develop like any type of like understanding of what their reality might be. And that's just really interesting to me.
At the same time, man, I hear you. At the same time, I feel like we expect some like these people, especially like certain celebrities, I guess because of their notoriety, like, or because of like their life is obviously in a being seen through like a magnifying glass, to not have different opinions than us, to not like see things differently. And I mean, that's what I'm getting from it. I mean,
Yeah,
I have different opinions. I mean, that's what it
having
is.
a different opinion, but I'm saying having a different opinion, and
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying.
No, I know what you mean, but I my big thing is, I guess I'll put it like this: I'm a heterosexual man, right? But I spend a lot of time with queer people. If I've been dancing for almost 30 years or something like that, and so if I had spent all this time, and then let's say the Las Vegas shooting had just happened, right? Well, in the nightclub where all those people had gotten killed.
The Florida one.
Orlando.
Florida. I'm sorry, Florida.
Yeah.
Right.
There's so many of them. So
right.
Yeah.
The Florida shooting had happened in that gay nightclub. Let's say I am completely insensitive to it because they're queer, but I've spent all this time with them. How could I not empathize with the plight of their experience? That's not a difference of opinion. That's just ignorance. Like,
I think you can, but you can. I think you're also allowed to have a different perspective or a different opinion on it. I don't think,
of course,
I don't think that you can. I don't think that you're being insensitive by seeing something a little differently or asking a different question or offering a different opinion. I don't think that necessarily goes hand in hand with being insensitive.
Maybe when it's not about issues that are life-threatening, though.
But I mean, technically anything could be life-threatening. You don't know when no one knows when they're gonna die. I mean, you could there's a risk just walking outside. And people really do feel like that.
I mean, but
you know what I'm saying? I'm talking
people actually died though. People actually did get shot in Wisconsin though. And that's what he was that's where his comments came from. So it's like I'm not upset at Bernard Urlacher. I'm not he could, like you said, people have opinions and he by all means have them. But for me, I'm just saying it's a little strange. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. Like Josh was saying with the shooting that happened in Florida, like it would be weird if Josh was like, it's not a big. It's like if I was gay and I worked with Josh for 5 years on something, and then he came out and said some stuff about like, oh, it's not a big deal. People get shot all the time. I would feel awkward about that. Like, dang, dude, like. I'm not saying you got to break down and cry with me or anything, but
no.
Just an exhibit of empathy would be nice. That's it. Like, just like, man, that's messed up, and then you can just move on from there. But
no, I agree with that. I feel you. I guess I feel like, well, I don't know if I don't know if did Brian Urlacher say. I mean, I'm just speaking about this topic, this situation in particular. Did he say something along the lines of, "Oh, that's fucked up. Oh well." Or
I would have to go back and read the
because I don't agree.
article,
Because of course I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't encourage that. No, I'm not like.
Yeah.
Of course it's
And
fucked up. I'm just saying I think it's possible to be like, damn, that's really fucked up, but then ask a different question or offer a different opinion, or I see it this way, or have something else to say that's not necessarily the overwhelming feeling of the majority. I don't think that necessarily means you can't be like, oh damn, that's like in general, this shit is fucked up. It's never good. It's always fucked up that these tragedies happen.
Yeah.
I mean that I'm just going off of the news, just different conversations I see, I hear. It always get like not always, that's not fair to say. I can't say always. But in my perspective, oftentimes it's when somebody offers a different opinion, then it's like, oh damn, they this. It's like I don't always take it that way. I don't always. Sometimes it just seems like that's as best as I could say it, I think, right now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my big thing toward that is, sure, people can have different opinions about a situation when it's more so left to be interpreted. But in these kind of circumstances, I don't know that I can be on board with people who are constantly looking for a but. Like a but to add. Like, oh, that's a horrible situation, but what happened? But did this but there has to be another explanation. But like, this was the situation. This is why people are protesting. This is why this is going on. Why are you trying to investigate all the details, and you trying to there's a difference between trying to investigate to learn whole stories and trying to investigate in order to oppose the popular thought or something that you think goes against whatever your primary perspective is.
All right, I see.
If you're just investigating for that, then that's what I have issue with. If you're speaking out in support of this person who just murdered two people who were peacefully protesting the unjust shooting of another Black person, I don't get what validation you have in. For me, I don't get what validation you have in that. I don't get what but you have for this.
I see what you're saying. I guess sometimes when I if I'm looking on Twitter, sometimes I'm like, all right, is this person? It seems like they're more riled up that somebody offered a different perspective or just didn't agree with their take on it than the actual situation. I wouldn't see that as clarity, to be more riled up about somebody seeing it differently or disagreeing than the actual situation. Because the situation, the tragedy, of course, is insane. It's crazy. I don't think anyone in their air quotes right mind would think that was cool or like, yeah, would think that's okay. But when I'm like, damn, on social media, like, well, Twitter, when I'm scrolling, that is my best example. Is I'm like, damn, are they more riled up because somebody offered a different opinion or just didn't agree with them, or the actual situation? Which one? That's
and I agree with you that happens
crazy.
through Twitter all the time. Is that people love to be in their own vacuum and they don't want to hear a different opinion, and that's fine with shit that you can have opinions about. This is not an opinion based thing. I like. People being cops showing up in riot gear to a protest toward the cops. Like what is the opposition to have here? And then in this scenario, and tell me if I'm wrong or I just read the wrong article or whatever, because I know a lot of shit just gets like in the vacuum or whatnot. But I'm like, cops doing that, being side by side with local militias, and then seeing this kid, I don't know if it's happened before, after, or whatever, or if it's even true. Seeing this kid shoot those people, and then giving them a pat on the back and a bottle of water, and I'm like, hold the fuck up.
Yeah, I think that happened before.
Yeah, that's wild.
Before it happened. Before
it was before, but still, it is on record that one of the cops did say thank you for being here or something like that. This was before the shooting, but
but why? What?
That's
yeah, that's
insane.
what I'm saying. Like
that's insane. That's crazy. Of course. But I'm speaking.
And so that's what I'm saying.
I'm speaking towards what I feel. My perspective on what I'm saying is, I'm like, yo, sometimes it's like, are we care more about finding a solution or people just agreeing with us?
well, I'm gonna be honest.
Sure,
and
and I'm
a
saying,
little bit of both.
Because you definitely see people going off because somebody doesn't agree with them. I mean, that's life. You know, like, so are we putting the energy towards a solution? Which, I mean, not that we're going to be the ones to find the solution. Who knows?
Right.
But I'm just saying that's.
Well, for me, I'm gonna just be honest, say a little bit of both, because you need people to agree with you to find a solution. Because if there's one person like, this is the solution,
Yeah, but not like social
everyone tell them to shut the hell up.
Yeah,
like
certain people.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But that's why I've said a little bit of both, because you do need people to agree with you if you are trying to find a solution. Because if one person say, "Hey, I got the solution," and everyone's telling them to shut the hell up, it's like, well, never gonna find a solution because we don't agree with it. Well, something that might work. We don't know if it's gonna work or not, but I mean,
yeah, I feel that
we're already kind of in there. So let's go ahead and just segue into the full segment of.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
We already in there.
I really had that same thought too.
So in this conversation toward political stances, perspective, etc., where do you stand on the notion that politics should or shouldn't come between family or friends?
I think it depends. I just think it depends. Like, for example, if someone believes that, I think that we should have free health care. If someone doesn't agree with that, I'm not going to be upset that they don't agree with that. If someone believes that, let me think of an example.
How is healthcare? I still wonder, why is healthcare a political issue?
That's a good. There's actually several things that are political or deemed political, like race stuff is considered political talk, and it's really not. It's not. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I can't think of what it is. I would call it social more than political. But
I was gonna say a social issue too. Yeah,
and even then, I don't even know if that's the right word for it. It's just like human fairness. Yeah, it's like decency, like human decency.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing. It's like a lot of people's politics are tied to their social views.
Yeah,
and a lot of platforms a lot of political platforms try to run on social views without necessarily saying how that's going to affect legislation, and so people vote on their social perspective, hoping that the legislation will affect that or will reflect that. Do you think that social views and politics can be separate? Because I personally don't.
I think they could, but it's unlikely. I mean, kind of just based on what we're saying. Like we're saying that, talking about race stuff and believing that, Black people shouldn't be killed by the police at the rate that they are killed. People would say stop talking about politics, even though that's not really
that's not a political thing. That's just a thing that immediately affects my life.
But then when you start saying, to defund the police and financially to go somewhere else, then it becomes political, because now you're talking about where like tax money is allocated. So
right.
I think it's hard to talk about social stuff without it turning into politics. But honestly, that makes the answer for this question easier for me. And for me, I'm going to say, I think in some cases, this is just me, sometimes you got to just cut, I'm not saying just completely cut people off, but like maybe we don't go out to eat as much as we used to because you own some stuff. But it's like, because for me, it's hard for me to respect, and I say this all the time, it's hard for me to take Trump supporters serious, because I can't, and I don't even mean this as a joke. It's hard for me to like it's hard for me to believe that you're capable of making adult decisions if you support Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has proven to be so bizarre, and the fact that you
Mhm.
see his incompetence and you still support him just makes me believe that you're probably incompetent too in some way or another. Maybe
Mhm.
I'm wrong, but it's just hard for me to like look at somebody as a responsible person if they support Donald Trump, because he's over the years, like, he's actually done worse than I thought he was gonna do. Like, I was like, okay, he's gonna be a bad president, but he actually is blowing it out of the water. My my
Yeah,
predictions,
like
like,
your preconceptions of it were
yeah,
like, who knew it was gonna be this bad? Like,
yeah,
Jesus.
it always kills me when people say, like, a lot of black people was not a lot of black people, some black people will say, or very few black people will say that Donald Trump hasn't been he's been okay for black people and stuff. And it's
Mhm.
like, I'm not gonna say he's been like bad. He's not like putting us in cages. He hasn't started slavery back or anything, but he hasn't done anything necessarily for, like, legitimately for the black community.
Right.
But it's like, for me, I'm looking at it more at I'm not expecting Donald Trump or any president really to do anything for me necessarily. But as a whole, like, I mean, just one example, the way that he handled the COVID-19 thing, I mean, that alone should be enough for him to not be reelected. And that's just one, subject. That's just one thing. But that alone to me is like, this dude had like briefings and notes and stuff for months before he actually decided to say, okay, let's do this thing. And even when he made decisions, they still weren't like they weren't affirming. They weren't like, okay, let's really like lock this down and take care of this.
Mhm.
He was still like, yeah, we're gonna do this, but I'm not gonna wear a mask. And like, if you're saying this and you know that millions of people look at you and respect what you say, they're not gonna wear a mask either.
Mhm.
So if all 50, what was it, 50 or 60, I think it was 50 million people that voted for this dude, if all of them say, well, Donald Trump said he's not wearing a mask, I'm not going to wear a mask either.
Right.
Like, his influence is too high for him to be that irresponsible. But
Yeah.
You thought.
yeah, no, I'm saying what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it like,
No, yeah, I feel you. I got you.
yeah, I'm saying like factually, he is too influential to do that. It's not acceptable. It's like, he should not be allowed to continue to do this for another 4 years, because it's literally killing people.
Yeah, man, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I personally, I'm with you on the fact that I don't know that I can rock. I don't know that I can rock with people who have too drastically different of political views. I had a director once, and all love to her. I remember her. I remember it was dancing in a rural state and whatnot, and one of the other dancers had brought up the fact that she was Republican, and I remember going, "Why?" Because I'm like, "Yo, ain't one of the first things that Republican candidates are usually like, oh yeah, one of the first things we're cutting funding from is the arts." I'm like,
Yeah.
we are the arts.
Yeah.
Like that's usually like not a primary, like it's not a top level thing they're gonna defund,
No.
but that's one of the first things I always hear is, oh yeah, funding is definitely getting cut from the National Endowment for the Arts. Now I know in a lot of scenarios for a lot of rural places, they make more money off of dance studios, which is parents, than they do from grants, which is what most other situations get from. But I'm like, still, how?
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that, or even with not necessarily sharing a political view or anything like that, but I think that some family members would just have wild ass opinions or perspectives on shit. I mean, when Trump first won, somebody in my not immediate family, but like step family. I'm getting way too specific. Was like was like, I don't know what we're gonna do. Like, white people just getting crazy now that that buffoon is in office. And I was like, now? I was like,
Yeah.
white folks been doing crazy shit forever. Ain't nothing different than it was on Tuesday. Like, what are you talking about? Because these things just get like misconstrued and blown out of proportion to what is actually the case. And I agree with you, Adam. I knew it was gonna be bad, but shit. And I'll be the first one to be like, I didn't vote in the last election because something came up that day, and I was like, I don't feel like driving all the way back out to Indiana because I'm still registered in Indiana, even though I live in Chicago. And I was like, you know what happened in that election? Who was the first one to come in? Indiana. And they were red as shit. They were. I remember that for a fact. Was that the first state to come in as like decided was Indiana? They came in hours before the second state came in.
That's crazy.
So I don't think my one vote. Huh?
You finna get killed in the comments for not voting, man. You finna get killed in the comments.
It's fine. I'm voting in this election. I voted in every other one. That's literally the only election I haven't voted in. I voted local shit. So that's what I'm like.
I'm just being a messer.
By all means, instigate. I don't care about. But it is that thing. You about to say something, Adam?
Yeah, I was gonna say I was legitimately on an airplane on election night, flying from Afghanistan to America. But that's where I was on election day.
Wow.
And I remember flying into Maine, and the pilot, we don't know. The election has already been decided, but we don't know because we've been on a plane for 17 hours or whatever. So we don't even know who the president is or is gonna be, I should say. So we're flying in, and you know how the pilot says we'll be landing in 30 minutes, blah blah. Get ready for the initial descent or whatever they say. And when we actually get into Maine, he's like, he makes some announcement like Donald Trump is the 45th president or something like that. And I don't know why I thought this. So I thought people were gonna be like, man, what the hell? Like I thought people were gonna be like really? Like, but on the contrary, this plane erupted in celebration. And I'm like, what the hell? That was the first time that I realized, like, oh, like this dude really does have support. Like, and it's closer to me than I even thought it was. And all of the black and brown people were just staring at each other like, what the hell? Like, we were just looking like, is this like, it was probably one of the most surreal feelings I've ever had in my life. Like easily one of the most. And then like when we actually land, this white, he was white. I mean, it doesn't matter necessarily, but I did just say like all the black and brown people standing at each other saying what the hell. But this one dude that I actually met him in Afghanistan because we actually were two different bases that worked together. Like we were out of Florida and they were out of Texas, and we went there together for the same blah blah blah. But so I met him. He wasn't somebody I actually worked with until I got there. But anyway, we talked a lot there. He was actually my supervisor while I was there, and we were just talking like, what the hell is going on? Because he's not at all a Trump supporter, and we were like, we just was like in this like, it was very few times in my life where I literally didn't know what to say. And I'm like, I don't know. Even to this day, I'm still in awe that he's a president. But at that time, I was like, that's the craziest thing ever. Like they actually elected a reality show.
Yeah.
TV host. Yeah.
But his support in Indiana, like you said, like very rare. Like I see Trump flags and stickers.
Yo.
Signs so much.
I was in Lafayette when it happened. And mind you, it didn't come in until like the vote wasn't decided till like 12:30 the next day or something like that.
Yeah.
Because it did go all night. And I went to sleep like, all right, guess we about to have the first woman president when I wake up, because she was still up when I went to sleep. And then I woke up and
you had a nightmare.
I'm telling you, I woke up and I looked at it and I was like, oh, wow. this motherfucker won.
like he didn't even think he was gonna win.
Yeah, I heard that.
I'm sure.
Cause like I was watching Fahrenheit. What's it called? It was by
Michael Moore.
yeah, he made a new one. It was like Fahrenheit, not 9/11. That was the first, but it was like Fahrenheit. It might have been like
90210.
I think it was the day of election day. I think it was Fahrenheit like 11. It was like the date of election day, so it was like November something. So it was like Fahrenheit 11
or something like that.
11/3 or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I actually watched. The funny thing is, I actually watched this movie in the theater in Korea, like of all places, because they were playing it in the theater, and I went and saw it in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 3 people in there, but but anyway, I watched that, and they were covering the part where his campaign team, like they didn't even plan like a party or a celebration, because they were like, he's not gonna win, so like they didn't even plan any of that.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, so like when he won, they were like, oh shoot, like I guess like the bar, I guess you know how they'll have candidates and they'll be at a location with all their people.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody there. Like everyone had left. They're like, he's not gonna win. So, and then
so are we doing it?
He woke up and was like, "Yo, I guess I should come up with a plan."
Yeah, yeah. He still doesn't have one.
Yeah,
like
and
it's like they've been talking about unveiling some healthcare plan, and they never actually unveiled anything. And he's got, in theory, if he doesn't get reelected, like less than 6 months left in office, but he still hasn't revealed his healthcare plan. So I'm like,
and remember how big of a what's the word I'm looking for? Not a talking point, but you know what I mean. That thing.
Yeah,
is that right?
He was talking about repealing Obamacare. That was one of his biggest things. Like, locking up Hillary Clinton, building the wall, and repealing Obamacare were like the big 3 points. And Hillary Clinton is still a free woman.
The wall is a gate.
Yeah, and healthcare is still the same thing. It's still insanely expensive.
Yeah.
So
I think there was I remember him making a big deal about Obama's birth certificate and something
the whole birth shit that he was doing while Obama was president. Yeah.
And then somebody else's tax information or something. And then I think that's not a thing for him too. Like he's I've heard
that was a big thing for his tax evasion was while he was running, they were like, "Yo, show us your tax returns."
And he still hasn't, to my knowledge. And like they're still waiting and like yo, but
all the shit.
Yeah, they're still nudging him like, "Hey, you should do that soon."
All the shit that was supposed to happen. He never showed his tax returns. He was supposed to give up his company and then he just gave it to his sons that he could still manage. Like they still make money. All of the shit.
And like he'll have like events and stuff at one of his properties. So like it was so weird. So like taxpayers are paying for him to get to this location, and they have to pay the establishment, the venue, but he owns the venue. So I'm like, how is this legal?
I don't know either. It's a definite business. It's such a business move. It's like such a business guy move.
I think crime is the word you're looking for.
In that case, I'm sure there's a lot more crime and business than we know of. Then.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what I'm saying in general. I mean, I'm just saying in the spirit of that, it's just it's like he's somebody who's like tries to make air quotes good business sense to like just saving him money, continuing the same old. He just has to be president, which is wild as shit.
I just want to point out that I love how you're taking care of our audio audience by just saying air quotes, but like never doing it.
Oh, I gave one. I just want to switch things up a little bit.
No, I got you. I'm fucking. What are you saying, Adam?
No, I was saying, and I know we weren't necessarily trying to have a Trump talk necessarily.
At all.
But I would say this though, since we're talking about his business stuff, one of the things that drives me insane is when people say he's a good businessman or whatever. But I'm like, when you look at all of his business, okay, every businessman fails at some point. So I'm not even saying
Sure.
that, like, but if you look at all of his failures, like he's been bankrupt, I don't know how many times. He had like the Trump casinos or something in Jersey. Those failed. Trump steaks.
Yeah.
Those
Trump
failed.
vodka.
Yeah,
Trump,
yeah.
Magazine.
Trump, the college, whatever. That was a scam. He got sued for that.
Scam, yeah.
It's just you can just go down the list. I'm like, what do you mean he's a good businessman? Because all of the rich folks thinks he's a joke because they're like, based on his beginnings and his father helping him out, they're like, he should be way richer than he is. So what, and that's coming from them. So I'm like, what spider. But anyway,
no, I know what you mean, man.
It just doesn't make sense. Now, with that being said, if what he says is true, because nobody even knows if he's actually worth what he says he is, which I think is like 4 or 5, 6 maybe $billion, I think, which is a lot of money, but nobody even knows if it's true because he won't show anyone his tax returns.
Yeah.
Right.
What I was speaking on is just like the idea of like, I'm speaking on the business sense of somebody wanting to continue the same old. So they're finding ways, even though they're getting in trouble, they're trying to find different ways to circumvent, like find loopholes, continue doing the same shit, Oh
yeah, no, I wasn't saying that to oppose what you're saying. Like regardless, he is a businessman, whether he's good or not, he is a businessman.
Who happens to be president, which is wild.
Yeah. But like he's a con man. He's a con artist. Like he's known to stiff people. Like like he's known for that. So
to veer off of this, and so we can stop being like the old black deacon board just yelling about Trump. Do y'all have any feelings about Biden and Kamala?
I do. Yeah, that's a good question, actually. Were you gonna say anything?
No,
Aaron, because I thought you were about to say.
Heard that deep in here.
No, I'm just like trying to be a little more conscious of like breathing deeper and not so shallow. That's what that's from. But
that's good.
Like honest effort. Man. By myself doing the other too often, but I'm gonna be I can't speak too much on them politically because I genuinely don't know enough about like I don't want to say what they stand for. I mean, because you could say like, you could speak socially about what they stand for. They're trying to like one, get that fool out of office and like apparently change things for the better for everybody and not just specific types of people.
I mean, by all means, you could just say, unfounded feelings. You ain't got to necessarily like we're not exactly the most factual podcast. We're really just talking. So
I mean, like whenever that's why I'm giving this disclaimer of like this is not about to be a political answer.
Yeah,
because I don't,
it's not everyone's interest. So that's fair.
I mean, I think it's necessary, but I would just like the thing about politics to me, it's hard for me to like Obama was for me. I mean, I think he was the first time that I could vote anyway. Like I was legal to vote. I was like legally of age to vote, but I actually felt moved. I think it was actually 2007 because we graduation day was on my birthday.
Yeah, you're right. So Obama was the first president we actually voted for.
Yeah, and I remember feeling genuinely moved, like the same way I do when certain people speak or when I hear a certain song that touches me in that way. I was like, damn, okay, I feel moved socially, even beyond just standard. He's saying everything that could be easily glossed over when somebody's just saying something that sounds great for everybody. Like, man, this shit he ain't gonna do it. He ain't actually.
He's a genuinely charismatic guy and everything. So yeah,
I genuinely felt moved. So like that was more of a reason for me personally to vote. I was like, oh shit, I feel moved. And like that, I felt more driven, more inspired to do so, as opposed to somebody just saying, all right, we're gonna cut taxes for the middle class and and provide all these resources for poor people and blah blah blah, which people have been saying for who knows how long. You know, it's been the thing. It's been the thing for a long time. So, shit, I'm hoping it'd be nice to get them in office. One, to get the Trump era, to like end the Trump era. Two, because it'd be nice to have diversity of having a woman even as vice president. Remind me, have we had a woman as vice president? Should be the first one, right?
No.
Yeah,
should be the first one.
Yeah, should be the first one. So diversity is wonderful. And then I feel the same. I think that's making a statement socially in general. But and then it'll be the same that I would wish anybody in there. Like I hope, no matter at some point it comes down for me. I don't give a fuck who you are. At some point, I hope and wish that we could do.
It's like some squeaking in the back. Do y'all hear that?
Yes. Somebody's fucking in the other condo next door.
Ah, got you. Okay.
I'm playing.
Beat it up.
I'm playing. I'm just trying to provide a little comic relief.
No, I got you.
I mean, at some point, it just comes down to like, I'm hoping they could come together to actually do something that works for everybody and not just the select few. At some point, can I offer something?
Can I offer this? This is completely based on nothing. Biden's going to die in less than 5 months. Kamala's going to be the first. Kamala's going to be the first female Black president, and that's what they're actually setting up for. If he doesn't die, he's going to be like diagnosed with Alzheimer's because he's like pretty much on like the brim of full-fledged dementia in the first place. I do not think that they're making sure Biden stays up front for your moderate white voters and everything like that. But I legitimately think this is all for Kamala to become president.
Well, I'm cool with that if she actually does something that works for everybody and like changes the game in that way. But oftentimes I find myself looking at a ballot and being like, man, I'm sick of having to choose the lesser of two evils every time. I'm sick of always having to vote for that.
I agree with you that I am sick of that as well. I really wish that we could break this whole two-party system thing. I think everything about the electoral process is stupid to begin with. I think the lie of this being a democracy, the lie of the necessity for it to be a two-party system, election day being on a Tuesday, like motherfuckers ain't got to go to work. Like it's all the electoral college needs to be abolished. Like all of it should be changed. I agree with you fully. If that was any kind of point that you were trying to make.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And at some point, like I said, it just comes down to I don't know what it is, man. I just felt like it would be cool. Like it would be like one of the cooler options is that somebody's like fucking next door. But
it sounds like a rat is being.
That's what I was gonna say.
Being like molested. I don't know. It is being brutally murdered and tortured.
Yeah. But yeah.
So sorry to our audience for whatever that squeak is. We don't know, so we can't.
Yeah, I do think that if he'll be the first close talker president we probably ever had. Like from what I'm like hearing and reading and like
the whole creepy thing, like
those
nostrils and shit.
It's just such a close talker, and just like a possible groper.
Well, possible he is a groper,
but at some point it's like, all right, if we could fucking actually do something for everybody, that'd be great. That's kind of where my political ideals end. It's like, well, we'll see.
How you feel?
Well, I know that both of them, Kamala, or it's not how to say it,
Kamala.
Yeah, Kamala. Her and Joe, they both have some shaky, past, whatever. And like Joe, for example, he said some pretty wild stuff back in the day.
And he wrote the 94 crime bill.
Correct. Then you got Mrs. Harris. She obviously was a prosecutor in California. She locked up a bunch of Black folks. And from my understanding, she was very harsh on her on her
sentences.
yeah.
But I did hear some more about she actually also created programs to and I didn't read up enough on this particular thing, but she created a program that helped people to assimilate back into modern society after incarceration.
Correct. So yeah, and I was gonna say that so her background as a prosecutor is not necessarily desirable amongst a lot of people, but from my understanding, I don't know everything about this woman, and I should go and read about it, but from my understanding, she has done a lot of work to I mean, you can't make up for it necessarily, but a lot of work to just better herself and, you know, do better for the groups of people that she might have, not might have, but so she's done a lot. And I really wish I had some examples, but I was watching some video and they went down a list of things that she's done and trying to you know, just be better, essentially. And Joe, I don't really have much good to say about Joe, to be honest. Like, yeah, I don't love Joe. I don't like the fact that he's still against the he's still against he's still for weed being federally illegal. And I'm not even saying it like I just want to smoke. I just think that's just an outdated viewpoint.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe him and Mrs. Harris will come to some agreement because from my understanding, she's for it, you know, just not being a big deal anymore. I mean, that's just one thing. Like he's still stuck on this Obamacare thing. Like he wants to keep Obamacare.
Yo, a quick question.
He's not necessarily. He's not.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, I gotta. I'm realizing that I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just not enough. It's just like stop interrupting. Then, if I'm sorry, I could just stop doing it. And that would be enough. But but I just want to speak on that. Like how like have you guys signed up for Obamacare before? Like had you because personally, it actually helped me when I did have it. I don't have it anymore. But like my experience, particularly in Indiana, were actually like it was super cheap. I mean, I also wasn't in the hospital all the time either. But the times when I needed it, it was actually cheap for me. I'm just one person, but I wanted to ask you about you guys' actual experience with it.
I got insurance through the marketplace, and it's I don't really use it. I just pay the shit every fucking month. So I wish it was cheaper. Go ahead.
Me personally, I never signed up for it because I didn't need to because when I was in the military, it was free. So my healthcare was free, and from my understanding, Obamacare it just depends on your situation. Like some people, it's amazing for, other people it's not. So it literally depends. So, and I don't know what those stipulations are, like whether it's great for you or not. But I just think that we're the only developed country that doesn't have a universal healthcare system. And I understand that we have a lot of people. I understand that it's very populous here. I get that, but if we can figure out how to send stuff to Mars, we can figure out how to everybody to get healthcare. It's just like I'm not saying it's an easy thing, but it's a lot of smart people here that can figure that out. So, and like I say, Joe Biden isn't for that idea. He wants to keep it. He wants to keep Obamacare. He wants to tweak Obamacare. I don't know in what ways. I don't even know how Obamacare works because, like I said, I've never even signed up for it before. But from my understanding, for some people it's amazing. For some people it's terrible. So it'd just be cool if we could just eliminate that and just everybody just have universal health care. And it doesn't have to be free. Like, it can be heavily discounted, but I just don't see how we have the tools, we have the knowledge, we have the money, the science, we have all of that, all the capability for that, but we don't because Big Pharma wants to make their money. And they probably still would make a lot of money, like because they're still going to be getting paid. But
it's better coming from the citizens than it is the government.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not crazy about Joe Biden. So I would vote for Kamala before Joe. If she was still able to be president, I would vote for her over him. Even with her background as a prosecutor.
But that's the thing. You are
And
voting for her. Like
yeah,
I honestly and truly believe most people who are voting for the Democratic ticket are voting for two reasons. One, because they want to get rid of Trump and yada yada yada, all that shit. And they're voting for Kamala more than they're voting for Joe.
yeah. It's like the thing about this situation is like I think we've touched on this before. It's like although she has her past, he has his. It's like I mean the '90s, and I'm not excusing anything, but the '90s were rough, and I don't think she was a prosecutor in the '90s. I think it was like early 2000s, but crime rise in the '90s was rough, and I'm gonna just be frank. And I'm not saying that what Joe Biden wrote in that crime bill, I'm not saying that was excusable, but what I do understand is they were trying to figure something out, and they chose the wrong solution for that. But it was rough in the '90s, though. Like out in LA and all the big cities, the crime was crazy. In Gary, even that's when Gary was the murder
Murder
capital.
capital. Mhm.
Yeah.
Was in the
But I
'90s.
get,
That's when
but
everything was crazy.
even though it was responsive, it was still responsive to decades worth of lack of resources.
Oh yeah,
What
I'm not excusing it. I need to make that known. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying I understand why something was done, even though it wasn't the right thing. That's all I'm saying.
because I think it's that whole compound shit where like the government puts and I know this is all speculation and conspiracy and whatnot because people act like it wasn't a real thing, but the government put drugs in the community, then told the world that it was a war on drugs, and then wrote a crime bill to say we got to do this to punish people who were using and selling drugs, and then going and then acting like private prisons aren't what they are and making the kind of money that they make by help yeah. And so it's all a combination thing, and so I still in that regards fuck Joe.
Yeah,
I can only speak for myself that I know I'm voting for Kamala, and I'm not extra strong about Kamala either. I'm voting for Kamala, not Joe.
yeah. I've been telling people I'm voting against Trump. That's kind of my
That's most people.
That's how I'm wording it more so. Because you can say what you want about both of them, they're still going to be better than Donald Trump. I just believe that.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of people say like I'd rather vote for Trump than vote for somebody that locked up black people. And like, dude, trust me, I get it. I get your frustration. I really do get it, but and I hate to say that was the past, but it really was the past, and we got to figure out how do we start building a future.
I'm off of this though. That is I'm not let me get my thought together. Let me offer this. Not even on a what's worse thing, but it is a bit of a comparison to go, yes, what Joe did has affected us for longer. But even in the immediacy, how many people died because of Donald Trump's negligence and irresponsibility? Just in these 7 months of COVID, how many people have died because of his negligence? Versus, not even say versus, but if you're looking at both of those, that one is a much more recent wound.
Yeah,
for more people.
Yeah, and it's so much more. Like people are trying to like vote for the lesser of two evils and all that. I wish I knew where I wish I could find this post that I reshared like a while ago. So it's probably deep on my feed because I shared probably too much stuff.
Deep,
but it was like 50 points of why voting for Joe Biden, whatever, is better than voting for Trump. And it was like it's not even about Trump being racist and sexist and all that's a given. But even if Trump was the most wholesome person on the planet, say he wasn't racist, he wasn't sexist, he wasn't any of that. He was actually a pretty nice guy. But if you look at all this other stuff, like he still should not be president. He's like, I think the racism stuff that just adds to it. But even if you took that away, like because there's been plenty of racist presidents, but they weren't idiots though. they were still smart men,
if not all of them. But
yeah. So Trump, not only is he's racist, he's stupid. He's actually a stupid person. And it's like have y'all seen that clip where he's been someone's talking to him, asking him questions, and Trump is going on about this test that he took some time ago, and he was so proud of the fact that he could remember these 5 words. It was like person, woman, man, camera, TV, or something like that, and he kept repeating he's like, yeah, apparently this test is really hard, and no one can repeat these 5 words. It's hilarious. Like I don't
know anything about this, but that sounds exactly like some real Trump shit.
Yeah, like honestly, it legitimately seems like an SNL skit. Like this, it would be perfect as a skit. But if I can find it, well, I'm sure I can. I'll just send it to the thing,
to the group chat.
Yeah, man.
Well, I don't want to talk. I don't want this to be how we end, and so I think we got a few minutes left. So let's throw something else in here, because we talked about Trump for a long time, and now I'm exhausted. I'm sure our audience is exhausted. Stuck in this.
I can keep going. Let's go. I'm just kidding.
If you cut us off because you're like, they're talking about Trump, I could go anywhere for this. I ain't mad at you. I hope you didn't know. I hope you're still here. Any good movies or shows y'all got into lately? I'd like to start. First 2 episodes of Lovecraft Country, quite decent.
Of what?
Lovecraft Country. That is hard to say for some reason.
I've heard of it, but I can't remember what it's about. Or
black folks and aliens, pretty much. That's like it's the 50s. Journey Smollett is in there. Courtney B. Vance. I know it's hard to talk about Journey and not think about her dumbass brother. Juicy. Courtney B. Vance is in there, and I love Courtney B. Vance. I think he's a brilliant actor. Even though he does play like the same person and everything.
Denzel.
Denzel does that shit too. What else? I don't know if y'all tried out this Netflix docuseries, High Score.
No, but I saw it. I want to check it out though.
I hate when Netflix does promote some shit to me that I'm like, damn, you probably right that I'm really gonna like that, and I'm gonna fight it for a minute. And then I watched the first episode and I was like, fuck, that was interesting. Shit. Okay. It is so fucking fascinating. Probably just because I do really enjoy video games, and as much as I don't get to play them as much, but it's a really, really fascinating show. How about y'all?
Man, my buddies. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, my buddies at work are always talking about video games they're playing. They're always like joining the PlayStation Network, with one another, and like talking about hitting the sticks all the time. It's like it's bringing it back up. Yo, that shit's bubbling again, man. Yo, that flame. I'm like, I'm about to spend this $600-700 on some shit that I definitely don't need. Anymore. But like every day you're talking about it, I'm like, man. And, I think they're talking about another PlayStation coming out soon or something.
PS5, PS5 got announced last month.
This year.
We're gonna be like $1,200.
I think they're saying it's gonna be about $6.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
I can look it up real quick. Because it's 2 versions. It's one that still takes disc and one that's purely digital.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't get off. I wouldn't get off of it.
That's what she said.
Shit, if I'm lucky.
I'm definitely gonna get it. It'll probably be in it. I never get systems in the first year because it's like okay,
Never.
I'm gonna let y'all work out all the bugs, make some more
Right.
games for it.
Smart.
Because like people are gonna jump on buying this game and it's gonna have like 4 games out for it. Like I'm good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's not even bad. It's only 500.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's a great price. Because like
That's a great price. Yeah.
I still recall when PS4 came out and it came out at $400. I'm like, that's it. Like
Yeah.
and at the time, PlayStation 4 was in my opinion, it was ahead of its time because I
it's
said this
very
like
little.
and I said this when we hung out last week. I was like, PlayStation 4 today is still very current to me. Like I can play it and I feel like okay, it's time for a new system. So I feel like them releasing PS5 is like it's really a treat because PS4 to me is still a relevant system. It's not like
Yeah.
outdated to me.
How
No,
good?
no.
How much better can the graphics get?
Yeah, it's
Like what else do we need? Like, it's like you need somebody to like stick their hand through the fucking screen.
I mean, I know at this point now, and I don't know if they started it with the PS4 Pro, but like I know with like a 4K and 8K quality coming out, that they're trying to push those capacities of what it can do. I've never looked at an 8K television to tell you like, oh my goodness, it's like it's my eye with how real it is. But right. I can only assume that it's those kind of like things that is getting into now is that quality shit. Because I remember when PS4 was first out and there would be these game conventions. My brother was telling me about this. People, even though PS4 was ahead of its time, a lot of people were still very much clinging to Xbox. And so anytime a new game would come out, people would go like, when is it coming out for Xbox? But it would be made for the capacity of PS4 because PS4 is Blu-ray, Xbox is DVD. And so Blu-ray just has way more capability than DVD does. And
all right, hush all that, man.
No.
Lover over here.
Fuck that shit, no. But people would get caught. People would be like, "Hey, so when is it coming out for Xbox?" And they'd be like, "Xbox can't even produce what this game is capable of."
Yeah.
Look,
and
man,
so
it's just speculation to me, man. Hold on, man. Look, I remember back in '92 when the first Xbox came out. I was at Walmart at 12:01. No, I'm just fucking around.
I was like, this 92.
I'm just messing around. It just feels like it was that long ago, man. When I was playing the fucking Lord of the Rings game on Xbox One. On
first
Day.
Xbox came out November 15th, 01.
Yeah, a while ago, man. I was actually at Walmart or Target at like 12:01 in line to get that. Yeah, I couldn't. It was on a school day. I couldn't believe my aunt was actually cool with that shit. Crazy.
As far as TV shows though, because I watch a lot of TV shows, but as of recently, I think I told you about this last week, but I've been watching this show called In the Dark or Into the Dark. I think it's In the Dark.
Okay.
And it's about this a blind woman or blind young woman, and she gets mugged in an alley in Chicago, and this he saves her life, whatever. He hits the guy that was attacking her with a pipe or something crazy, and then after that they become friends. Like, oh, you saved my life, thank you, let's be friends, blah blah. So it shows them being friends, blah blah blah, and then one night she goes to the alley because that's where she smokes all the time. It's like right next to her apartment, and that's where he hangs out, and he sells drugs. So whatever. So anyway, she stumbles into the alley one night and she finds his body and he's dead, whatever. So the whole first season is about her trying to figure out, as a blind woman, who killed her friend, which is a bit, it's a bit like, okay, this is unlikely, but it's entertaining. But then when the second season came around, it got a lot better. It's like, it's the second season's pretty good. Like before, I was saying I wouldn't necessarily recommend the shows. Like I enjoy it, but I don't know that I would recommend it.
Mhm.
But after seeing the second season, I probably would recommend it because it's a rare instance where the show actually gets better in the second season. A lot of shows have an amazing first season and it just slowly falls off,
Mhm.
and then
Heroes.
by the time season 4 comes around, I was like, okay,
Let this die.
Man,
Now, I don't know if I brought this up on the air, but I know I told y'all about it. I still watch that the most brilliant competition show I think ever created, Naked Attraction, that comes on in the UK. If you haven't heard of this show, I wish the states were mature enough for this show to fucking exist.
I was just about to ask you. I was like, "Yo, I'm writing that shit down right now. I need to watch that."
So, this show is so it's of course it's benign reality television and whatnot, and it's a dating show.
Mhm.
But the whole premise of the show is that they get 6 people, I think it is, to be in colored pods, ass naked. And then a person comes and they're trying to choose who they want to take out on a date, purely based on their physical appearance by being ass naked. And the kind of logic that these people come up with as to what makes them least attracted to people around is just hilarious. And then the random facts that they come up with, but that they tell you throughout the show is like, they tell you like the statistics of how men view the breast to nipple ratio, and what the preference is, and the percentages of like, because it's a UK show, majority of men are uncircumcised, and then like how many women actually prefer dad bods over buff bodies, and how they actually have a longer lifespan if you got a dad bod than you do if you like mad jacked. Like it's always these random facts that they like throw in there, and then there's like even undercutting like some internal shit people be having going on, where they're like, every vagina that doesn't have visible labia is neat, and you're like, why? Because labias be out here, b.
So if it so you say if it doesn't have one visible,
yeah, like there's a woman to stand there, but like the labia don't like protrude. If you don't if you don't know what labia are, those are like the pussy flaps that sit on the outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
My girl's gonna hate this when she hears this because she hates when I say pussy flap, but
well, we love it.
It's the part that sits outside the like on presenting on the vulva of the labia minora, labia majora, right? And so
wait.
Yeah.
So before you go, so if you can't see the labia, it's neat. So if you can see it, would it be on the rocks? Be here all week.
That's hilarious. That is. It tell you the way that they do it. So like they showed them like piece by piece the people. So firstly, you only get to look at lower body, so dick, pussy, ass, and legs, and then you get mid body, stomach, pectoral, titties. Then you get face. Then you hear voice, and then the person picking has to get naked and then make the choice between the last 2 people that they got. And so there's no point where like you get to like not be in your full glory. And the it's just brilliantly done. And the host, Anna Richardson, be just making all the jokes towards people.
Oh, nice.
What was it? One dude, like they saw the faces for the first time, and the dude was like just had like a blank face, and she was like, "Oh, you're not." She was like, "Oh, you can't smile," which I thought was hilarious because that whole thing with like men being like, "Hey, yo, smile for me, lady," whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, "Oh, you don't want to smile?" And so then he like showed his teeth and all of that, and she was like, "And there it is," and walked away. Hilariously dry moments. And so from top to bottom, I think, no pun intended, the show is fucking hilarious. And so
Yeah, I'm definitely checking that shit out. Soon as
tell people everywhere, watch Naked Attraction, and fuck you, United States television, for not being mature enough to have shows like this here.
Yeah.
Do you think you could do this kind of show? If you weren't in your current situation and you were like, you know what, I tried everything and I don't really care about being on a nationally syndicated show. So I'm going to go pick a first date naked.
Nah, that's not me. Not sure I can do that one.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I would like to say yeah to like challenge myself, but I don't know. Well, I don't know about that one, man. I don't know. You boy, just don't know. Josh, what about you, man? Yes.
Obviously, obviously, I don't care about this. I've been on stage with everything but my dick out, so I don't. So, it doesn't really. I honestly feel like I would do every aspect of the show. I will be chosen. I'll choose. I don't really care.
Get a little extra. Get a little extra stool for your penis while you're standing there.
just have a footstool so I can rest easily. No, I'm telling you, I would be all about this show because I do be wondering, like they give like descriptions of what they like for people to do the recruitment process, and I'll be like, what did you write? When I look at all the people that are available and whatnot, so you write, whether or not you're heterosexual, whether you're homosexual, whether you're trans, pan, etc. Like you write down all those statistics about all those characteristics about yourself and what you're looking for. And then there's some people like they didn't get picked on one episode, so they got to come back for another episode. And then after they didn't get chosen for like 2 or 3 episodes, they came back to pick.
All right, fuck it, I'll do it. Look, I put my dick out. I'm doing it.
I'm just like. It's a penis. A lot of people got one. Who cares?
Yeah, and like I wonder, like I'm assuming it's not nearly as big of a deal over there anyway. So they probably feel more comfortable being up there. Or people like shy, obviously shy, and
I think nudity is always going to be a thing everywhere. But I know in Europe, if let me say something that has completely no factual basis. After years of after
that's
decades,
all we do. No,
after not say decades, after adolescents filled with watching real sex on primetime cable, it has shown me that Europe doesn't give a fuck about nudity and public nudity, public acts of nudity. And so I just don't think it's as big of a deal. It's not as America likes to believe, because it has this, to go back to the top of hypocrisy, it likes to believe that it doesn't like nudity and all of that kind of stuff, when porn is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Exactly.
Speaking of that, this is a little off subject, but
sure,
it kind of brings up the same thing. Isn't it funny? Because I've always thought about this point. Isn't it funny that prostitution is illegal in our country, except Vegas, but it's illegal in our country unless somebody is recording it, and now it's porn and it's legal.
Now it's fine. Yes, I've always thought that was
it's wild, man.
So if you want to be a prostitute, just have a camera with you and be like, and if police try to stop you, like, no, I'm filming porn. So, and which I do think that you probably, in some capacities, I know, like in California, I think you need licenses in order. Yeah. I'm saying if somebody went and got all the license, the proper paperwork.
Oh yeah,
but they just wanted to be a prostitute, but they went and got all the porn stuff. They could essentially be a prostitute, a legal prostitute, as long as they record it.
It's wild, man.
And it's absolutely silly.
And speaking of like Las Vegas, why do we all know that's happening? And just, if it's illegal, why is it just cool there?
Yeah.
Why is it just like no? It's like it's just cool there. It's just a known thing that we just live with.
And Vegas is just different. It's just a different animal. Like, like they have like the first dispensary I ever went to was in Vegas, and it's like it was. Unfortunately, that was the first one that I've ever been to, because everyone I've gone to since is like it's not even remotely the same. It's like
Mm.
it's like walking into a polished, brand new skyscraper in Manhattan versus walking into a studio apartment with ants crawling around in Brooklyn or
Damn,
something.
what
Like,
basement operations did you go to?
I was about to say,
no, and I'm not saying the other ones are that bad. It's just this one was so nice. Like this thing was
Yeah.
it was so massive and so like just well put together. Like it had like a sculpture out front. It had this big like red ball in this pond with steam coming out. It was this massive installation in front of the building. then like you walk inside, it has like a interactive like floor where like you step on it, it like it's like a pond of fish, and then you can step on it, like the fish will scurry away from your feet. It was ridiculous. It's like, and then that's what I mean by like this place was like.
I'm assuming.
No, what's up?
I'm assuming this was I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming this was on the Strip.
It wasn't on the Strip. It was in walking distance though, because we walked to it. It was a decent walk, but it's close enough. And that's probably why it's grand and stuff, you know.
Because my big thing toward Las Vegas, why do people get to treat Vegas like it's a great city?
Yeah.
Because once you leave the Strip, it's just
rough.
It's just a big suburb.
Yeah, it's rough too. Some areas are like you might not want to be there after the streetlights come on.
Yeah,
I've heard those rumors as well.
Yeah, it's a rough city, but for me, Vegas is one of those places where you spend 3 days over the week. You know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, have a good time, and you leave. It's not, you know, that's it. It's because I was there for 5 days and that was too long. I was like, yeah, we could have left 2 days ago, because it's like, okay, drink.
Once you do stuff, you're like, okay, that was it.
Yeah, it's fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, but it's not one of those places that you just go there for a week and hang out. It's like, no, you go there for 3 days, party, and you leave.
I'm sure for some people that can be a thing. If you know you're a extroverted party person, you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do a different drug every day, and I got all the bitches and shit like that. Like, you know, I know how I'm in with the bouncers at these 4 hotels, and so any limo that's coming, like if you know how to facilitate Vegas, it probably can be that.
Yeah.
Or if you're in the porn industry, I'm sure you know how to fucking work Vegas.
Yeah.
Man.
But yeah. Well, so I think that's more than enough for today. We want to thank y'all for joining us for another episode. I said I was gonna stop doing the whole web thing, but it felt right this time. We want to thank y'all for joining us for another episode of the InforMILLy Honest Podcast. It's always a pleasure joining these brothers every Friday that we record this, and every Monday that you get it. Someday we'll start a Patreon and you can see us do this live before Adam does all the edits and makes it all pretty like. So let us know if you're like, hey, we would definitely pay for a Patreon and support you fellas. Let us know. We will get that shit started yesterday. Adam, you about to say something?
No.
Oh, no, you okay.
I think I was gonna say a joke, like $1,000 a month or something crazy like that.
So, did you see that shit?
I'm afraid not.
So again, veering off. Some chick did a makeup job around her body of fake bruises and shit, and portrayed as if she had been kidnapped and about to be sex trafficked in order to get people to come to her OnlyFans.
That's crazy.
And then as soon as they got there, she just starts squirting and something. Like, how do you know? That's wild. I mean, in the spirit of veering off, but
yeah.
No, that's just.
But no,
that's
it was
insane, man.
I was like, yo, you took something that's an extreme problem right now
Yeah.
and try to turn that into an OnlyFans thing.
And that's like close. I'm sure that's close to illegal too.
Yeah, essentially it's fraud, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Kind of.
Because you have to pay for OnlyFans.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, in that case, but like if you're
But no,
saying
she was
that,
saying like, sorry,
like,
go ahead.
I'm saying like if you're saying like I just got beat and they're trying to kidnap me, I'm sure that's a crime. I don't know what it would be called, but that can't be legal.
She was
So-
saying, go to. She was like, go follow my follow my OnlyFans and donate so that as my ransom, pretty much. Like they're not going to let me go unless I pay them, and the only way I can't pay them is for you all to come and subscribe to my OnlyFans.
Yo, she gotta eat. No matter how hot she is, she gotta know that motherfuckers ain't that stupid.
She's better off doing a GoFundMe, if anything. That makes a little bit more sense.
Probably.
The only
But-
way that I could pay them back is if you pay me first.
Yeah, monthly. Like what?
Come on, son.
A monthly
Yes,
ransom.
like-
Yeah. Subscribe
how
below,
tone
by
deaf-
the way. Like, come
How
on.
tone deaf can you be? Yeah. So all that aside, I know we thought we were going to end this on a high note, huh? Nope. We want to thank y'all for listening once again. By all means, write us in. Continue to write us those emails at InforMILLy honestpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Instagram. Hit us up on Facebook. InforMILLy honest on both. And we love you. We appreciate you. We saw a bit of a spike in our listens, and so yay, appreciate that. And so the audience is growing, the conversation is expanding, and it seems as if everybody's not everybody, but more and more people are starting to tune in to these principled conversations of being forthright, vulnerable, and most of all, honest.
Yeah.
Thank y'all. Peace.
Peace out. Join the conversation.
Yeah, yo.
Join the conversation.
Stop leaving 5 stars with no review.
No, do that too. That's fine. It takes the rating up, but we love the reviews too.
Peace out.
Peace, y'all.
To kill my own brother. This message is to heal my brother, because they have scarred my brother.